As it's confirmed, we have a free weekend of Hurricanes hockey thanks to Buffalo and Montreal. Can't figure out what they're doing. So let's talk about the biggest takeaways so far through 2 rounds and what we're hoping for in the Eastern Conference Final, all on a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I am your host, Zach Martin, and joining me today, he is part of the PHWA of the Carolina chapter. He is also the beat writer, reporter, and everything else in between for the Hockey News, covering your Carolina Hurricanes. It is Ryan Henkel. Welcome back to the show, Ryan. How are you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good. Just got back from practice not too long ago. Same old, really, because we're going to have quite the wait here coming up.
Yeah, it's officially confirmed the fact that Buffalo and Montreal are going to a Game 5. That means our entire weekend is free because I think Game 6 is Saturday or somewhere around that realm. I think it's Saturday, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a wait for the Hurricanes, especially the fact that they decided to end this thing kind of early against the Philadelphia Flyers, which we'll talk about in today's show. We're going to talk about the biggest takeaways through the first 2 rounds, looking at goaltending, the second line being hot, special teams, all that stuff. Then we're also going to talk about what we're hoping for in the Eastern Conference Final. Guys staying hot, who we would love to see kind of hit the score sheet a little bit more. Maybe the power play gets back rolling like it was in the regular season. And then finally, you guys heard me talk about it on Tuesday's show. Did reference Ryan's article they wrote for the Hockey News, but I definitely want to get his thoughts overall when it comes into this crazy narrative, because I know Obies and Giglio talked about it on their podcast. Of course, we talked here on Locked On Hurricanes, but love to hear from another writer's perspective. So we're going to start this off with biggest takeaways from the first couple rounds. And Ryan, I think the guy that everyone's been talking about overall is Frederik Andersen. And I mean, you're talking about a guy who's got a 1.12 goals against average, a save of .950, 2 shutouts. And this is after a crazy regular season where it was like statistically his worst. Like for you, like how huge has Andersen been? And were you surprised of just this switch flip that he had from the regular season to the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, part of me definitely surprised, like for Frederik Andersen to just have almost a complete 180 from his regular season to his playoff performance. It wasn't a good regular season. Like, there's no way to go around that. It just wasn't great. He was out of the rotation at times. Like he went 2 months without a win. Like these are really, really rough times for Frederik Andersen in Carolina. But I mean, what more can you say about the performance he's had in this postseason? He's been by far the best goaltender in the playoffs, hands down. He's 8-0. He's got the .950 save percentage. He's got like 11 goals saved above expected. Like he's just put on a tremendous performance night after night. He hasn't allowed more than 2 goals in a single game in all of these outings. Like,
yeah,
he's been absolutely incredible for Carolina. And, part of me, like I said, is surprised, but the other part of me is like, it's just what he does. Like he's so even keeled. He has the exact same approach to every single game. Doesn't matter if he let in 3 goals or he's let in 0 on 50 shots. Like Frederik Andersen is going to play the exact same way every time. And I mean, that's why Carolina went to him for that Game 1. And he's showing that, hey, I still have my game here.
Yeah, because the fact that you always heard the narrative of like, oh, he can never get it done in Toronto and this, that, and the other. But you look at his Carolina numbers, they've never really been that bad either. You're talking over 900 every season. I mean, yeah, they got bounced in the second round against the Rangers, but even then they kind of came back in that series too. So it's not like Andersen's ever been terrible in the playoffs for the Hurricanes. And it's just, all you hear every year, well, is he going to show up? And it's like, well, he does. It's just, unfortunately, things don't really click at the right time for the Hurricanes in general. So it's good to see that, all the effort he's put in over the last few years, it's finally working out for him. But for you, what were the other biggest takeaways from so far in the first couple rounds? Because I know the obvious one is the second line, but for you, what's been kind of something that's been sticking out to you overall?
I would say defensively, like, the penalty kill, especially like to allow 2 power play goals against in 37 or however many attempts it is, just 1 per series at this point. And, they've killed over 5 minutes of a 5-on-3 shorthanded situations and have not allowed a single goal in those situations. Like the next closest team, I think, was Ottawa, who had 2 minutes and 11 seconds of 5-on-3 kill. Carolina's got 3 more minutes than that just through 2 rounds, and they haven't allowed a
Yeah.
single goal. Like, it's absolutely crazy what this penalty kill's been able to do. Obviously, part of that goes back to Frederik Andersen and the way he's been playing, but you look at guys like Jacob Slavin, who's killing most every single 5-on-3 for out there for the entire minute and a half or however long it is. Keandre Miller has been exceptional this series. I think he's been one of the best players in the postseason, hands down. Him and Sean Walker have been incredible, and I think, but especially Miller. Miller's been just an outstanding player. It's everything Carolina could have expected in a guy. Like his long reach, his physicality, his ability to shut down plays, his skating, like everything is just so on point with Miller this series, or the past 2 series, the postseason, I mean to say. And he's just been, one of the most fun players, I think, to watch for me personally.
No, he's been exceptionally fun. And like you said, you're talking about a penalty kill. It's 38 for 40 overall in the playoffs. It's absolutely crazy how they've just been absolutely laid out. Like, I think Boston's the only team that's better by like 0.8%. And that's because of the fact they've played only 6 games with the Hurricanes.
Buffalo couldn't score a power play goal for like 30 straight games or something crazy.
Yeah. I think they were like 0 for 20 at one point. I'm like, geez, and I thought the Hurricanes power play was struggling a little bit. Let's go 0 for 20 and finally get one. But yeah, it's like you said, Miller's been great. Sean Walker's been great with him too. And the fact that you're talking about the new dad line, essentially, when it comes to the fact they both just had kids in the last week. Yeah, the new dad pair.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. And the fact that it's just kind of worked out perfectly. And I love what Sean Walker's like, yeah, the hockey gods are looking on me with the baby going into game 4 after having to fly down and fly back. But yeah, like I said, we talked, we had that scrum with them after game 2 in Carolina with Miller, and then talking to Sean Walker and how the fact that Sean Walker's like, hey, he's playing on another level. I'm just happy to help wherever I can. And then we talked to Rod after too. And he's talking about Miller and talking about the whole defense. You can see when because I think it was last year, we didn't have Walker, we didn't have Chatfield in the Eastern Conference Final. You lost Brett Pesce, a couple playoffs ago against the Islanders. I think this is the most healthy, knock on wood, defense team overall for the Hurricanes. And I think that's also helped Tim Gleason be able to put these guys out at the right time. Like, do you think that just the fact that this whole team is healthy right now and just playing on another level, do you think that's been a big contributor to where the Hurricanes are at right now? PK 5-on-5 wise defensively, 10 goals in 2 rounds essentially.
Yeah, health can't be overstated. Like, as much flack as the Hurricanes get for not being able to get over the hump. I mean, you look at there's been a lot of key injuries year after year. Yeah. Like just last year against the Florida Panthers, you lose Chatfield and Walker, and you're having to throw in Alexander Nikishin, who's never played in North American hockey a day in his life, and Scott Morrow, who again he just wasn't ready for the moment. Like he just couldn't handle a team like Florida, and so you throw these 2 rookies in there, and they were just eaten alive. Like we saw it. And then even then, like you had guys like Dmitry Orlov playing a little more minutes because he had to make up for it. And, his game was on the downward climb. Like his foot speed, he couldn't keep up. Brent Burns, was on the wrong side of 40 at that point. But, he's doing pretty well in Colorado, I will have to say. But
yeah.
I think there's a bit of a big difference between adding a guy like, Keandre Miller and Alexander Nikishin over Orlov and Burns, in a situation like how Carolina plays with that man-on-man defense, where it's so active in the neutral zone, so active jumping up into plays, and having those players that are much more complementary to the system. And then, like you said, with the health, it just makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it really does, because like we've talked about, you said a lot of key injuries. Like even looking at the forward side of things, we didn't have Andrei Svechnikov a couple years ago either. We lost Jesper Fast in a meaningless game against Columbus.
All sorts of
twice. And that's the thing. It's like, and that's something I think never really gets stated, is the fact that the Hurricanes had to come through a lot of adversity of just these injuries to try to get things done, and now we're seeing it to where, like, you're looking at the practices and nothing's going to change, and Rod Brind'Amour is using sharpening the knife, because now we're just going through a million practices, because now it gives these guys time to rest, which they never really had before in previous playoffs. We were going 5, 6, 7 games at a time. You're getting like a day or 2 turnaround. Now it's like a week and a half. And the big question is always rust versus rest. And honestly, we've seen the Hurricanes rest, came out in game 1 or round 2 with no issues. And now it's like, well, how are they going to do a week and a half? I think they're going to be fine, because we all know how practices are with the Canes. It's not just we're just going to lightly skate around and kind of just do whatever. Like, that's not how Rod does these things.
And I think too, like a team like Carolina, with, the Rod Brindamore culture, the Rod Brindamore mentality. You got Bill Burnison in the gym. Like, this is a team they're not taking it easy. Like, the rest versus rust thing. I don't think this is a team that rust is really going to accumulate. This is a team, they know what they want to do. Like, I've never seen so muted of celebrations for series wins. Like that one against Ottawa when they won. Like, they had just no sellies, right? They were like, yep, all right, cool, moving on. Like, there was a little more selly in Philly, granted. It was an overtime winner, so a little more emotion there. But still, it's not what you typically see from like these teams when they win a series and they're, it's jubilation. You had Cam York chucking a stick into the stands when Philly beat Pittsburgh. Like right. Carolina, they have been here. They have done this. Like, to me, the first 2 rounds just felt like a practice round. They're like, all right, now we're in the real deal. Like, and so I think a team like them, I just don't think the rust thing is ever going to be a factor. I think mentally they're so locked in that, game one's going to come, Lenovo Center is going to be rocking, and I think they'll be ready to play no matter what. The rest is so much more important.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I think that's what really helps is the fact that guys who might get dinged up or, stuff like that. It's like now you don't have to worry. But like Alexander Keyshawn was able to rest up, and Nick Ehlers was able to rest up too in between the rounds. And then you talk about the muted celebrations. Like, I have never seen a Hurricanes team this locked in for the playoffs ever. And it's like you almost kind of feel like there's a difference to this team than compared to teams of years past, where this team is more physical. They're more of in your face. Like, they're not getting pushed around like we've seen before, where it's like the question is, is the physicality there? Oh, are they going to, answer the bell and step up for their teammates? Like, guys are getting hit. They're after whoever is doing it to them. Then they're just finishing hits. Like, I feel like their system that they've ran for so long that we've seen over the last 8 years, but you add the physicality on top of that of like, you're not going to push us around. Like, we're going to be right back in your face. That's been added, but it hasn't taken away. It's just added another layer to this Hurricanes team with the mentality of, we're just gonna just make it everyone's problem.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Hall is the biggest goon in the postseason, supposedly. I mean, this guy's bearing everybody that comes near him.
Yeah. Taylor Hall is just absolutely trucking people. You got like Logan Stanko going up against guys bigger than him. You got like Shane Gostisbehere is going after Ristolainen, and Ristolainen is trying to go after like guys on the team too. It's surprising how the fact that no matter who it is, someone's throwing a body. Doesn't matter who it is. Like I said, it's Jarvis, it's Stankoven, it's Blake. Like you get your normal heavy hitters of this, the Jordans, William Carey, Eric Robinson, Mark Jankowski. Like, it's everyone's doing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, Jankowski throwing hits. It's different when Mark Jankowski's throwing hits.
I mean,
he's a big boy, but he plays a certain way. It's not that physical crash on, but when you got like Will Carey.
Yeah, William Carey smacking people. Jankowski's throwing bodies and earning paychecks. So, I mean, hey, what a week for that guy, too. But all that to be said,
a good guy. I love Jenks. Such a nice guy.
Jenks is absolutely amazing. I'm just so happy for him. He got his 2-year contract, man. He definitely earned it. Nice little payday, and the fact that he's your 4th line setter for the next couple of years. Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
Penalty kill, power play, goals that are called back. So hey.
I mean, hey, the Jenks is the new jury, I guess. We'll just have to we'll see how that plays. Yeah, now it's his turn. Whoever's the 4th line center, automatic, every goal is going to get called back for something, curse, but it's crazy. But so we talked about the first couple of rounds. Now we're going to jump into looking at the Eastern Conference Final, as we were still waiting to see who it is, but stick around. We'll talk about what we're hoping for, what we're looking at, and all that stuff here in a second on a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. If you got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find the perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic cotton candy taste you remember, but with a tasty caffeine boost and 0 sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. The flavor really does bring that throwback fruity vanilla vibe, and it's surprisingly smooth. And the thing is, it's very convenient. It's just a small portable shot that you can take wherever you go, and it's a great pick-me-up. It's honestly become a go-to for me, especially when I want something sweet without going overboard. Bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shots, available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. The NBA playoffs are here, but more importantly, the NHL playoffs, and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right, turn $5 into $150 and bonus bets just for getting started. You can check out stats, trends, and matches before your picks, which makes the whole experience feel even more informed. It's really easy app to navigate, and it makes playoff basketball or hockey even more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with me and other listeners of this show. Tap the link in the show notes or description to join the club today. All right, welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. All right, so we kind of talked about our biggest takeaways overall through the first couple rounds, but now let's move the focus over to the Eastern Conference Final. As we all know, still going to be waiting for a little while. This could be done by the weekend of Game 6, or this could move to Game 7. But Ryan, for you, like, we've seen how good some aspects of the Hurricanes have been. The second line's been playing really well, the PK, goaltending, and stuff like that. What are you kind of hoping for kind of stays on track and kind of keeps that momentum going? I don't know if it's going to be at that pace, but what are you hoping to see still sticking to what it's been working so far for the Canes?
I would say definitely, like, you'd have to say Frederik Andersen's play. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say that he's going to be a 950 goaltender continuously throughout here.
Right.
Like, you just need a guy who's been steady in the net, and he's making the timely saves. You know, Rod Brennmore's talked. His new favorite catchphrase with goaltending this year is timely saves. It's all about, you know, when you make the saves. You don't in Carolina's system, you're generally not going to have to make a ton, but you got to make them when they matter. You can't get the backbreakers up. And so for Carolina to have continued success, it's going to be Frederik Andersen continuing to play at a high level. Like, again, he doesn't have to be a 950 goaltender every single game, but, you know, got to stay above the water, and he's got to make the saves for the team to keep them in it or to keep them ahead or whatever it may be. I think that for me is going to be the biggest key.
Yeah, it definitely will be, because I think outside of Game 4 of round 2, I think every game he was 920 or a better save per instance. I think this last one was like 880 something. It was like 15 saves on 17 shots. But even before then, you're talking about a guy who had a 920 or better in 6 of 7, and I think it was over 940 for 5 of those as well. So yeah, it's like I said, I agree with you. I don't think he's gonna be hitting 950, but as long as you're hitting above 900 and giving up 2 goals or less a game, I think you're gonna be pretty fine on that. For me, I'm looking at like that second line. You're talking 31 points combined through those 3 guys, and you're talking a plus 25 as well. Taylor Hall's a plus 10 by himself, and he's got 12 points. For you, like, how we know how good that second line was when Hall was finally placed with, you know, Stankoven and Blake, but now the playoffs started, and it's like they have to be the hottest line in the playoffs, bar none. Like, what have you really seen from this line that just makes you, okay, these guys are like, this isn't just like a 1 or 2 game fluke. We've seen this for two rounds now of just these guys being absolutely dialed.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a bad answer in terms of, like, you know, content, but nothing has changed with them. And like Rod says, too, they're just like Logan and Blake are playing the same exact way they've been playing all season. Like these just junkyard dogs, go get the puck, go hound guys. Strip players of pucks and then just cycle in the zone when you get the chance. Like, Stankoven, how many times all season were we like, geez, this guy, he could score 30 if he could just get a little puck luck. And he got no puck luck for the entire regular season. But now he's bearing every single chance he gets. Jackson Blake, I think, has taken his game to another level, I will say. I think last postseason, he kind of crumbled a little bit when it got to Washington, Florida. He wasn't really very effective. This year, he's just pushing through it. Like, Ottawa was one of the biggest teams in the entire league, very physical. Philly was physical, and he hasn't shied away from it at all. And Taylor just turning back the clock. I think a big thing he's talked about throughout the season is just feeling more comfortable in Carolina's system. Like, you know, it's a hard system. There's a lot of nuances in the way Carolina plays. And so there's a lot of things you got to be thinking about as a forward, you know. And for a guy like that that's played a long time in a lot of different places, you know, it's not always going to be second nature for some of these things. So having a full year to understand the system and get comfortable. And then we saw that in the second half of the season, you know, this year, where he just started really playing well, taking off, kind of getting more and more consistent. And now we're seeing that consistency bleed into a guy that was due for a rebound puck scoring and a guy that has taken his game to another level and he's been able to embrace the physicality of the playoffs. And so then you've got 3 guys all firing on the cylinders. They're all getting theirs. And it's just been really incredible to watch, especially too, because, you know, matchup wise, Carolina They got the Stahl line that can shut down top lines. The Aho line, they're not scoring, but defensively, they've only given up a single goal all postseason at 5-on-5. So that opens up so much opportunity for that second line to just run rampant on whoever's left.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like you said too. Like, there's not really much of a change, and it's crazy when you look at, like you said, Stankoven. Like, he easily could have had 25, 30 goals. Like you said, it's just the puck luck wasn't there. But he goes into the playoffs with a scoring run, and then goes to 13 games with points. And you said Jackson Blake, I think last year was like 3 goals and 6 points in 15 games. It was like even across the board. But now you're talking, I think it's +8 or plus. I think it's like +7, like 11 points already. He's already beat his totals from last year in the regular season in the playoffs. And I think that this guy is going to be a star in the league. And I go back to, like, seeing these like stat cards of like, oh, he's a 1%er to be a star, or 0%er to be an everyday NHLer. And it's like, this guy on a sophomore season just obliterates his numbers. And I feel like you're going to be looking at a guy who could get 60 plus next year, because it's just where his trajectory is going. And like you said too, Taylor Hall, we're looking at like an MVP like Taylor Hall again. And I love what he said last year about Rod too. The fact that he just comes in and Rod and them are just not like, they're not nitpicking, like, just go play your game. We'll figure it out. And I think that's where I think he talked after game 2 was, yeah, he didn't have his best game, but they were able to get the job done, and he figured out how to get it done. And Rod even said that's a mature hockey player who can break things down and understand it. Like, for you, what has it been about Taylor Hall that's just kind of like, you can see the maturity of him and just being able to dissect things so much differently?
I think he's just, his hockey IQ, like, he's just so smart. He just understands so much. Like, anytime you've talked to him in the locker room, or like he's done interviews, like, he breaks down the game. Like, he can take you through plays, his thought process. He's one of the best explainers at the game I've ever like run into, through media. And so for me, like, I can see that hockey IQ is just oozing out of him. Like, he just gets the game on such a high level that he's able to just kind of understand how things work and break it down. Like, he's been in the league a long, long time, but he's also has no, like, there's no ego with him. Like, he was playing on the fourth line to begin the season. Like, he doesn't care. He's like, hey, I'm here to win hockey games. I'm here to, just enjoy coming to work every day. And that's just what he's been doing for him. Like, just such a smart player, but also a guy with no ego. Even though he's been an MVP, first overall pick, he's like, hey, whatever I'm asked to do, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm here. I like it here. I feel like a good fit. I feel like I'm accepted for who I am, the player I am. And that's why I think it's just been working out so well for him.
Yeah, it really has. And I think Rod even said it too when Hall came in, he's like, it's not like, hey, I'm an MVP. Hey, I'm a whatever. Like, he's not coming in here to try to be a leader. He's just like, I'm here to do a job. Tell me what you need me to do. And I feel like you can really sense that with Taylor Hall. And it's great to see the fact that, he's being rewarded for being in a system that fits him. The fact that this is like his first year of his 3-year contract that he signed. And now it's like, we still got 2 more years of Taylor Hall. And of course we got, Blake and Stankoven's 8-year contracts starting. It's crazy where you look at this whole roster. Now you're talking about Jankowski's extension. Like, this whole team, like, we think we have like 13 forwards signed through next season at the minimum. You got like Nikishin's on an RFA, and you have only, I think it's Delorier and Riley and Anderson, they're UFAs. Basically, everyone else is signed. It's crazy when you look at the contracts. It's like trades, possibly. Like, who's going to break out of the Wolves camp to hit this roster, because you're basically bringing everyone back for the most part.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
So they've got it locked in.
Trades.
They're a top 4 team in the league again, and they don't have to worry about roster turnover.
No, they really don't. So you did mention the first line a little bit ago, and I think for me that's kind of it's that and the power play, I think, are the 2 things that I'm really looking at in the conference final to hopefully kind of get rolling, because I think it's like 3 power play goals so far through 2 rounds. And that top line, I think from what I read last, was 9 points through 8 games. Like, for you, what are you kind of hoping for in those 2, like, I guess, camps of the power play and the first line kind of need to get linked in into the rest of what's been going on for the Hurricanes to be where they're at as one of 5 teams to go 8-0 and one of 4 teams to hold 2 goals or less in the playoffs to start?
I think that goes hand in hand. I think, like, if the top power play is scoring, then That's typically it's going to be those top line players that are getting more points. So I think
Yeah.
they kind of go hand in hand. I think Rod talked about this a little bit yesterday, where he was like, he's like, defensively they're doing their job, like I talked about, but it's like if they can just get the little more finish on the power play, like it wouldn't look as much, as a problem area for their point totals. Like I think they've had good games here and there. I think they've had quiet games here and there. I think Svech has been a player that I'm just absolutely shocked hasn't been able to produce more.
Right.
Like he had 0 points in the Ottawa series. I think he's got 2 points like through this series. Like to me, it just feels like crazy because every game I notice him, he's like either creating something off the rush or, burying a guy or making this really high end pass to the slot. Like I really, really love Svech's game. It's just, it's just for whatever reason, the pucks aren't going in. I think the power plays had a lot better looks. I think against Philadelphia, especially that top unit was really generating a lot better looks. I think, they're getting closer. They had Svech had the goal in the other game. Ehlers had a goal. So, you got guys are starting to, round into shape a little bit more. But like you said, at the end of the day, these are the kind of guys that need to get on the score sheet. They need to get on the board. The pressure's not on them, thankfully. So, maybe that's a little bit mentally, it's easier for them because they're not being like gripping the stick and being like, I have to score or else we're doomed here. Like guys are picking up the pace and they're, helping pull them along. But the longer goes in, you need these guys to start producing. You can be good defensively and that's great. Like at the end of the day, if you hold your opponent's line to 0 points and you get 0 points, that's a net neutral, no harm, no foul. But if you're going to be the best players on the team, you need to start winning your matchups more than just kind of neutralizing your matchups, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's the thing too, because like you're talking about 3 guys that are all making over 7.5 or at least $7 million. It's like you're kind of, you're on that top line for a reason. We're looking at you to be the difference makers because Rod always talks about how if the Hurricanes are going when Svech is going because he's just a dynamic power forward. You're looking at Seth Jarvis, 30 plus goals in the last 3 seasons. Sebastian Aho is he's going to get his number retired at some point because that's just how good he's been. So it's just, you really want to get those guys going. Like you said, that leads into the power play to roll as well because they were 4th going into the playoffs. And right now you're talking 3 goals total. But it's definitely gotten better, but you're kind of hoping, okay, whoever they're facing in the conference final, whoever comes out of the West, which looks like it's going to be Colorado, and then whoever else decides they want to actually try to beat them. So whoever they're the next 2 rounds, I think it's going to be, for you to get over that hump, those 2 things definitely need to insert themselves into whatever else has been working for the Hurricanes so far. So we'll definitely see how that goes. But all this to be said, we've talked about the first couple rounds, what we're looking for the Eastern Conference Final, but now let's kind of turn back to the narrative a little bit. I know I talked about it on Tuesday's show. I did mention Ryan's article, which if you haven't yet, go check it out. It's really good. But I do want to get his thoughts about this because it's still seeing it today, still crazy, but stick around. We'll talk about the narratives in a second on a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. ED is way more common than most guys think. Millions of guys deal with it at some point, and that's exactly why HIMSS offers a straightforward way to handle it. HIMSS connects you with licensed healthcare providers online, giving you access to legitimate ED treatment options from the comfort of your home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just a straightforward process that makes it easier to take care of yourself. The thing is, the whole process is simple. You just complete a quick online intake and a provider reviews your information. It's straightforward, transparent, and designed to make getting care feel easy. So to get a simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/lockedonNHL. That's hims.com/lockedonNHL for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedonnhl. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. All right, so we talk about takeaways, talk about the Eastern Conference Final, but let's talk about the big thing that's been going around for the last week. I know Ovies and Gilio have talked about it on their show. I've talked about it on Tuesday. But Ryan, I want to get your thoughts on this because it is absolutely crazy, just the goalpost moving, narrative switching, changing lanes on the Hurricanes. All we've heard coming into the playoffs is Ottawa's a really good team. They're going to beat the Hurricanes. They were the sexy upset pick against the Canes. You come into round 2, you got people from ESPN, you got Mr. Curfew, you got spin chicklets, you name it, saying, oh, Philadelphia is going to take it to the Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes sweep them both. And now the narrative is, oh, well, they weren't really great playoff teams. It's been a cakewalk for the Hurricanes. And for me, it's like, okay, pick a lane. It's either the Stanley Cups are the hardest to go through to win a championship, or it's too easy. But if it's too easy, everyone had done it. Like, for you, what's it been like just seeing all this, like, goalpost switching and narrative changing when it comes to just the Hurricanes in general on this playoff run?
I try not to get into too much on like the national media discourse and whatnot, because the way I look at it, nobody really watches the Hurricanes. Like, that's just plain
I agree.
simple. Like, that's just true.
I agree.
Like, it's literally impossible to watch all 32 teams in the league. And I wish just people would just admit it, be like, hey, I didn't really watch this team much, but you can't, beggars can't be choosers, I guess, because nobody will ever admit that. Too much egos going around everywhere. But it's always clear to me, like, how little people pay attention to the Hurricanes and what's going on. Like, when they're like, oh yeah, this is a dump and chase team. And I'm like, that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Like, have you missed anything? Or like, oh, Frederick Anderson's a playoff choker. And I'm like, yeah, he's had one bad series in Carolina against the Rangers, outside of getting buzzsawed by the Florida Panthers last year. Like, everyone got buzzsawed by them. Like, outside of that, like, he's been actually tremendous in Carolina and in the playoffs in general, when he's not playing 75 games for the Babcock Leafs. Like, there's all these, or like, this team can't score, and it was the highest scoring Carolina Hurricanes team ever in franchise history. There's all these like narratives, and it's based on people and pundits and all that don't watch the team. Like, it's just plain and simple. Nobody watches the team, and so they just don't give them credit for anything. They're like, oh, Ottawa's going to win because, like, they're hot and they're like going really good right now. Like, I can see them upsetting Carolina because what's Carolina got going for them? Where's their superstar? Like, Nikolai Ehlers, whatever, he's playing on the third line. Who cares? Like, all these kind of opinions from people that I know for a fact just don't watch the team. Like, it's 100% true. And then so now it's evolved into the well, they're 8-0. Obviously, that means it was a cakewalk of a series because they won 8 straight games. Yeah, it's a cakewalk because they earned the top seed in the East, so they got to play quote unquote lower teams, despite Ottawa being the 9th best team to entering the postseason. They were ranked 9th in points, and they were a top 5 team in 5-on-5 chance creation, and they were a top 5 team in terms of chance suppression. And they had a top 10 power play and penalty kill through the last, throughout the Olympic break onwards. Yeah. But again, it's a cakewalk. But, Ottawa is also one of the biggest, most physical teams in the league. But again, it was a cakewalk. It's so many narratives going around, and I know it's from people that don't watch the Canes. Like, I know that's the thing. I would tell fans, like, not to get caught up in it. But I get it's hard because, you want to see your team talked about on a bigger stage. You want to see them, like, get the glowing credit. And it's tough because the Carolina Hurricanes almost never get the glowing credit that they deserve. Like, this is a team that's locked in from top to bottom. Like, this is one of the best blue lines in the entire league. Yeah, they don't have a sexy Norris caliber defenseman like a Quinn Hughes or a Cale Makar, but Jacob Slavin, Jalen Chatfield, Sean Walker, Shane Gostisbehere, Keandre Miller, Alexander Keishin. Like, these are all top 4 blue line players on any team. Like, and they have just a wealth of them. Like, you look at the forward group, like the second line, like you said, is the best second line in is the best line flat out in the entire postseason. Like, Andrei Shevchikov, Sebastian Aho, and Seth Jarvis are top 50 players in the league. Nikolai Ehlers, for Christ's sake, is playing with Jordan Stahl and Jordan Marnick and still producing. Like, that's crazy in and of itself. Yeah. Like, this is such a good team. And, like, they make other teams look bad. Like, that's what other people don't realize. Like, the boring narrative that the team gets, or like people throw around, if that's even that still comes around, it's like, it's boring from, I can understand from an outsider perspective, because all you're seeing is one team play. Like, people love running up the score, crazy, fire wagon hockey. Carolina doesn't allow that because they're so good and so locked in that they're going to make, they're going to play their game and they're going to force their opponent to stop them. Everybody in the league knows what Carolina is doing when they come up to play them, and they just can't stop it. Like, this is they need to people need to start giving Carolina credit for being such a good team. Like maybe it's the not making to the Stanley Cup Final thing. Like maybe that's like people just get hold of like, oh, obviously they're chokers. But if we look since the Rod Brind'Amour era started, what are the only Eastern Conference teams to make the Stanley Cup Final? Boston in 19, 3 years of Tampa, 3 years of Florida. So every team in the East that's not, you can say Boston lost, so they're a choker too, I guess. So every team in the East that's not Florida is a perennial choker, and they're not worth anything. Like these narratives are so crazy to me because everyone's got to have a hot take. Everyone has to get their clicks up, I guess, and nobody's able to give nuanced takes anymore. No one's ever able to look at things, be like, oh, why did Carolina lose here? Oh, wow, this goaltender had a 940 save percentage. That's kind of crazy. Igor Shesterkin. Wow, crazy that he was outstanding. Oh, wow, they've had some key injuries here. So, everybody has injuries, but, Carolina's a team that doesn't have a superstar. They have to, weather the storm. They need to be the sum of their parts. So injuries for them hurt a lot more. It's just the nature of it. Like, it's a team without a superstar. It's a team without any individual awards winners. And apparently it's a team without a top caliber GM or coach either, because none of them are finalists either.
Oh, yeah.
But
sure.
Somehow this team is so good but not good enough where it's a cakewalk though. That I've gotten a little ranty, a little preachy here, but it's
all good. I was hoping
are insanity from people that don't watch the sport. They don't watch the Hurricanes play, and flat out, they're just, it's an embarrassment to themselves and to sports coverage in general, that people can't just be honest, be like, I don't watch this team, or I'm not even going to they're not even giving, the credence to go research more about them, to go look into sources where you can tell them. They're just gonna be like, nah, I just have this assumption I made about them 7 years ago. I'm just gonna assume it stays the same way.
Yeah, and that's all it is. Because I know you're at the games usually and stuff like that, but you listen to the national broadcast. It's all about what can this team do to beat the Hurricanes? What can this team do better? But it's like, but you never really hear the credit from Carolina. If you do, it's about maybe 10, 20 seconds, and then it's about the other team for most of the game. Intermissions, same thing. And yeah, it's crazy when you look at it. You could definitely tell the ones who kind of research and the ones who don't, and it's very more of less than not. And it's just, you talk about the Flyers and Ottawa. I know you mentioned it too. Like those two teams were like top 7 in points from from the Olympic break to the start of the playoffs. You're talking about the goals given up. Ottawa they give the least amount of goals from then to the start of the playoffs too. And you look at those two teams. You're talking about a team who got 90. I think it was like 99 points for Ottawa, 98 for Philadelphia. Those two teams would have finished 1-2 in the Pacific Division. Vegas won with 95. And then you look at the wild card, like their wild card team was the Kings with 90. The second wild card team
regulation wins in the entire league.
Right.
League, not postseason.
Right.
League.
And you're talking about not teams who shouldn't be, like people are saying, oh, Philly and Ottawa should have been in the playoffs. On what planet is two teams that were 99 and 98 not deserving in the playoffs, but you got a 90-point team in the Kings get in and get absolutely blitzed by the Avalanche? Their point differential between those two teams from Colorado to the Kings were 31 points. Carolina is like 14 and 13 compared to the teams they faced in the first couple rounds. And they were both 90 points. And the thing is, Boston and Ottawa were wildcard teams because Boston was 100 points. The other three teams were over 100. Like your fifth best team in that division was 99 points. The Flyers got with 98. If they're better than an entire division, I'm sorry, that's more willing. That shows that those guys made the playoffs. It's just they went through a buzzsaw of Carolina. Carolina is not the buzzsaw, but like you said, no one wants to give them credit because it's boring hockey. It's the Hurricanes. No one watches because all I hear is, who cares? It's Carolina. All you hear is, who cares? I've heard it my entire life. I've lived in North Carolina. I've lived in the South. All that. And, Ryan, you've seen and heard it too. Who cares about Carolina? No one cares about them. And it shows too when the narratives are so boring and the takes are so lazy. It's like you said, nuance. What is it? It's almost like you got to look it up in a dictionary to figure out what nuance is these days because no one can bring it anymore.
But I tell you who does love the Hurricanes, Carolina Hurricanes fans, and I think Canes fans need to take that and just embrace it. Like Like, why? Just don't give the pundits attention. Just don't pay them any mind. Like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the stress. It's not worth the anxiety. It's not worth the anger. Like, just don't give them what they want. Like why feed the trolls? Like,
right. Exactly.
It's at this point, it's what it feels like. It's dishonest kind of, talk and whatnot. I get everyone wants to see their team talked about on the top platforms, but it's just not going to happen in this rate unless they win the cup. Like, that's really what it feels like. And unless that happens, that's the only time anybody's going to give them any credit ever. So,
I honestly, Ryan, I would not be surprised if the Hurricanes do win the cup and they somehow still don't get a credit. It's going to be some dumb narrative where it's like, oh, well, it was a Mickey Mouse Cup because they didn't play whoever. And I'm like, all right.
I mean, you hear it in 06. I mean, the Sabre fans always talk about, if they weren't playing an AHL defense, or if Dwayne Rollison wasn't playing in net for the Oilers, or
oh gosh, yeah. It's just wild how you hear about it too. But like you said, I agree with you. Like, yeah, you want to see the Hurricanes get, more media attention, and so unfortunately it's not going to be the thing, but at least, you got the local group, you got you, Corey, Chip, the Joes, they do their thing, and like, there's a lot of good local writers who cover this team, and it's just, I think that's something we should need to focus on if for Hurricanes fans is like, all right, forget the national group. Just focus on the crew that we have in Carolina who actually know about the team, talk about the team, and actually be, I think in a way, telling the right narrative. I think that's what really matters, in my opinion. But yeah, like you said, it's crazy, but it is what it is. At least we know Hurricanes are under the third conference final in 4 years, back-to-back years. Rod Brindamore, I think he's up to like 94 or 96 wins.
96 or 98 now.
Yeah, 96, 90. Yeah, whatever it is now. Yeah, like I put out something like, wait until he hits 100, and people are like, well, what do you mean about? Don't you mean 102? Yes, obviously 102 because that means they won the cup. But to hit 100 wins is still pretty huge for a guy who's been a player and a coach. But yeah, it's just crazy where they're at. But Ryan, this has been a lot of fun. I know we went a little bit longer than I thought, but just a lot of great stuff to talk about. Definitely wanted to get your opinions on a lot of things, and it's been a lot of fun. But before I let you go, though, where can people find you? Where can they find your writing? And do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
You can find me on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, at RyanHenkl_. I'm also on Blue Sky, Ryan Henkel. Sometimes I post on the Canes Reddit, but generally you'll find all my writings on thehockeynews.com/Carolina Hurricanes. It's the Hurricanes team page, daily content, game stories, all that. So on YouTube, Ryan S. Henkel. I upload the videos from the pressers and all that, because I know without FanDuel and all that, you're not really seeing most of the game pressers. So I post all those on the videos too. People are always looking to watch those. And then I guess as a parting thought, I would just say, hey, Carolina's a good team. You know it. We know it. And that's all that matters.
Yep, that's definitely matters for sharing. So make sure to go follow Ryan wherever you do. Make sure to check out his articles. They're great as always. And Ryan, thanks again, man. This has been a lot of fun. Always great talking to you. Love having you on the pod just to pick your brain about the Carolina Hurricanes. So thank you, man, as always.
Yep, no worries. Always good to join.
All right, big thank you to Ryan for joining me today. Always great to talking to him about the Hurricanes, picking his brain on a lot of stuff, a lot of great things to talk about here. So, yeah, make sure you follow him, go check out his writing and all that great stuff. And, we'll see where it goes as we wait a little bit longer for the Hurricanes to play in the Eastern Conference Final. But until then, this will be the Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making your first listen of the day. If you've never missed an episode, the Ever Dare Club is built for you. Get Locked On Hurricanes ad-free, plus a members-only Discord access and more. Head to the link in the show notes or the description to sign up today. It's $50 a month, or it's $5 a month, or $50 for an entire year. If you're, checking out on audio, we send you to the first ever, Locked On Podcast Network on the YouTube channel. If you're on video and then audio, make sure to check out AHL Game Night on Locked On AHL. If you want to keep up with me, and I want sure Zach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky, the Zachary Martin. Click the link in my bio. You can find all of my written content at thehockeywriters.com. I've been putting out a lot of stuff for you. So we're talking about, the 3 stars of round 2, the Hurricanes and their 8-0 run, Mark Jankowski and Charlie Serrato's contracts, the 2-year extension for Jankowski, the entry-level contract for Serrato. So make sure to go check all of that out at thehockeywriters.com. If you want to listen to the podcast, you can find us on Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on YouTube. It's Locked On Hurricanes. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so it's a show. Hit the thumbs up to let me know if you like the show as well. Share with other Caniacs who come every dayers just like you. But hope everyone enjoyed the Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Enjoy your Thursday. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes.